It is a world of darkness, and the warriors of Gaia fight over the fate of the world against their enemy, the cosmic force of entropy and corruption, the Wyrm. Unbeknownst to mankind, they wage a war against the coming apocalypse, with new cubs taking up the cause to fight with fang, clave, and gun and claw. They give the Wyrm no quarter. They give it only rage.
To set the scene, you find yourself in Bill's house. It is very cozy and comfortable. No doubt the glasswalker, stuck in this chilly situation, certainly loves the comfort of an actual dwelling and luxuries of luxuries. There is, in fact, a huge lion-footed bathtub with hot running water. For the lupus, there is a warm bear pelt rug by the fire. And Bill has laid out with quite an impressive spread of freshly baked bread, fresh butter, there is a barn nearby, honey, jellies, jams, and a rewarmed leftover but still quite meaty haunch of venison. There is also cold spring water and honey mead drink. And he has allowed yourselves to get comfortable, healing those of you who are hurt. Bill himself is a large person, standing at about 6'8", wearing his heavy red and black lumberjack t-shirt that's almost stereotypical. He sits with a pipe reclined in one of the seats, waiting and smiling patiently as you all get comfortable. In the distance, through the blizzard, you can hear the howl of wolves, yet they don't seem to be approaching. And for those of you in need, there are clothes you are welcome to borrow, though he does express, with some sympathy of apology, that Tara may have to get creative with making his large attire suit her body.
If you got needle and thread, I can help out with that.
With the heavy creak, Bill's boots hit the ground as he pushes himself up. I'll be right back with that. Get comfortable. You can hear his heavy thuds as he goes to the bedroom.
Thank you, sir. Darren sits down to eat some meat.
Tara is currently in her lupus form, probably sat somewhere near a window. She doesn't like the sound of howling wolves outside.
I will walk over to Snarls and ask, still in Galbro form, how are you doing? Took a hit back there.
Snarls is located on the carpet by the fireplace. Quite a comfy rug. He's in his lupus form, almost like a happy dog. Hearing you, he turns his face to you and says, much better now, that's for sure.
I don't know about you, but I need to meditate for a bit.
Yeah, same. Should we both go?
Just thinking so.
Snarls would nod his head. Snarls would head to the door waiting for Dave.
Tara would stop them as they get to the door, saying, it's not safe for you to go outside.
Oh, that reminds me. I say as I reach into my back pocket and produce the floppy disk. If any one of us should be holding it on to it, it should probably be you.
In between mouthfuls, Darren pipes up, yeah, the smallest target.
In the background, you can hear the heavy thumps of Bill coming back as he puts beside Darren a little wooden box with various sewing equipment, bread. He also gives Darren a quick pat on the shoulder before pushing one of the drinks closer, since he's seeing Darren wolf down the food so enthusiastically.
Out of character, how much exactly do we know about this guy?
Not much, other than the fact that he's just been really helpful thus far.
So he's perfectly, fine and he, acts as though it's completely normal for us to be out of
still talking to you completely.
Tara's still at the window, looking out, almost paranoid that what's chasing them might find them. She says to Bill, it's not safe for us to stay here. There are people chasing us and we don't want to We don't want them to cause you any harm.
Looking to you, he offers a smile that almost reminds you of your father, the way it's just very patient and very sure. You're perfectly safe here. Nothing will bother you. If you like, you're welcome to stay here until the blizzard ends.
Thank you, Bill, son of the bear. Your hospitality is beyond what we should expect.
He smirks. Well, I do have a price, which is that when you're all done eating and comfortable, I'd appreciate hearing some stories by the hearth. You're welcome to join me when you're done. He holds a hand out, more so motioning in the general direction of the front door. Quite cold outside. Take a jacket with you if you insist. He then lumbers over to the seat he had previously been in. A big, heavy leather recliner that has a pelt laying over the back of it.
What pelt's it? What animal?
You think a buck.
Is there a free chair next to him?
There is an entire sofa as well as another armchair across from it, on either side of the fireplace. Long couch, easily fit 4 people, especially at your ages, on it. And there's the bearskin rug right in front of the fireplace. That's probably more of a Lupus's style.
How far is the rug from him?
Right in front of him.
Okay, so Snarls would return back to the rug near the fireplace and ask him, so how exactly did you find us?
I mean,
I'm watching you
I'm sorry, you said you were watching us?
for a little while. Not all the time. But I sensed your presence when you neared my territory. So I kept a close eye on you now and
You sensed us?
lifting his head, you almost feel as though the room darkened by degrees, and the wood beams creak somewhat ominously. There is more than Ghural in this world.
I look to him and I mutter, apologies, we thought we were still in Wendigo territory. We should have announced ourselves.
He waves his hand. It's fine. I don't interact with the Wendigo, and very few of them know about it.
We'll keep it that way if you prefer.
I would prefer you not talk about me when you leave.
Darren nods.
Taro would kind of head over to the table of food and Darren.
Walking over to D, Dave would mutter, how you doing?
D's been real quiet this time. He's been sitting on the sofa, just kinda thinking. He's got one of his legs on top of the other one. He's wearing some of Bill's clothes, lumberjack stuff, of course, has to be. And he looks up, seemingly broken from his trance. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was checking on you, make sure you're doing okay. You took a hit back there.
I appreciate that, but I'm alright. Don't you worry.
I give a nod and mutter. So, did you assume you heard anything back there?
Yeah, no, I saw some things. Saw my paw just kind of walking around. They've been working him to the bone. And I don't know what black spirals can do, but I don't know. Seemed a little too real to me for it to be some kind of mirage or some shit. And my pa, he don't work with worm shit usually. He just kind of picks up jobs and tries to live. And if he's here, then my family might be here. And I don't like that one bit, not at all.
Do you think they targeted him specifically because of his relation to you?
He had no relation to me. The only relation he has is proximity. He ain't my actual pa. My
Gotcha.
stepfather. My actual pa probably back in New York or other place right now.
I look at D and mutter, well, I figured out who was behind the killing up in New York.
Is it the black spirals? Was it some worm shit? What was it?
Yeah, it was a black spiral. Goes by the name Zera. Apparently, it's probably trying to start a little conflict between the Wendigo.
Of course. And we just happened to get caught in the middle of this. Damn. Fucking called it, though.
Hopefully, we can get this information to them.
I agree.
You can hear Bill adjusting the logs in the fireplace with the iron poker, trying his best to respect your privacy.
As they continue to talk, Niles would approach Bill saying, I want to thank you for getting us out of there, and I've got a favor to ask of you if you'd be so polite to help me. I fear that in our future travels, I may not be able to protect the group. I know there's a gift that the spirits of the bear and unicorn. Would you be able to help me with that?
When you're all set, we can talk. Have nothing to worry about. Have some food. I'll be very interested to hear what it is that brought you up here. From your accent, I can tell you're not local.
Niles would nod and say, thank you.
Tara eats some of the food at the table, constantly looking back over to see how it looks like Darren is getting along with the clothes.
I'll look back over to Dara. I'll go mutter to her. I assume we have Banes and Lord knows what else hunting our ass.
No doubt about that.
Is there anything that we could make that can hurt them?
We hurt them the same way that we dealt with that Bane in the village. That's the most we can do.
And about our sucker friends, what do you want to do?
We said we'd meet him. So, we gotta keep to that. And then she gives Dave a bit of a harsh stare as though to say, no, don't bring it up. Not while we're here.
I give a nod and mutter something along the lines of, yeah, I'll wait back with the rifle in case, I'll stay out of the sight in case things go down.
Snarls would join them at the table, picking up some food in his mouth as he still tries to talk, his mouth stuffed. You hear almost like gurgling, almost like choking. Can't really tell what he's saying. But you can barely see his eyes as his glasses also kind of falling off now.
Snarls,
at
it's
this
rude
point-
to talk with your mouth full. Swallow first.
In one big gulp, he finishes the food that was in his mouth, moving his head slightly so that his glasses fit on properly. He'd say, for the while that we've been here, we have such a proper shelter. Doesn't it feel nice?
Yeah. Out of character, the only person not at the table is D, right?
D's kicking on the couch. He's still thinking.
Nylan, how am I looking on the sewing?
You've made a little progress. If nothing else, she'd at least have pants to wear. Though they're not bell bottoms, but they might as well be. You've only really made it so that they wouldn't fall off her hips. Other than that, they're kind of like MC Hammer pants, though they're not meant to be.
Does Darren need help?
If Dave approaches, Darren just flicks his eyes up at him and glares.
Dave would approach and he would go, hey, nice job back there.
Darren gives a quick nod. That's what I do. His gaze would kind of go down to the massive scar across his chest. That's what I try to do.
Well, it seemed like you were holding up your own against, what was that, 3 of them?
I don't know whether to be glad or annoyed that you think that was me. I was, not in the driver's seat.
Quirking his brow slightly, and then he would mutter, take it as a compliment.
Hey D, get over here. Bill's been kind enough to prepare food to warm our bellies and drink to lift our spirits.
D snaps out of his trance for a second. Huh? Oh, yeah, just a sec.
Bill, who's smoking his pipe, looks at D and gives him almost a quick lift of his brows as if to suggest, Go join your friend.
Dee looks at him, eventually realizes what he's doing, and then stands up, walks over, and if there's a free seat, he's going to sit down on it.
Is Tara the closest one to Darren?
Yes, she is constantly looking over your shoulder to be like, is he done yet?
He's going to be, like, holding them up to Tara, like, doing very, very rudimentary tailoring work. Or just so, like... Great. He knows how big a 5 foot whatever girl is.
You can comfortably say she could wear the pants without it looking like she's trying to repeat the styles of the 80s. The t-shirt will sit a little bit better on her shoulders, and frankly, while it will be a little baggy in places, it'll be fairly comfortable, and you can probably tuck it in to the pants. The belt has been adjusted, and nothing you can really do about the Mulligan boots other than just make them a bit tighter around the top and middle. She might want to layer her socks so that, there's not a big chunk of the toe just empty.
Hey, Tara. In a very low voice, trying to make sure only she hears.
She looks in.
The, scar on my chest. What, does that inspire anything in you? He just, looks down, kind of a mix of gloominess and anger on his face and frustration. The scar on his chest is 9 inches long from his armpit to just the side of his heart across his left pec. It's where he was run through with the clave of the Black Spiral Arun, or where Harold was.
We were in a tough spot. Not sure if we'd make it out alive. A lot wasn't in our control, but we all pulled through. We survived.
I wasn't the one doing anything. I didn't earn the scar.
You were the one who, when the gunfire started, rushed to our aid.
But I wasn't the one who fought. I wasn't the one to get this scar. I think I'm stuck with this. I know you're the gal you are, but heart scar seems kind of fitting for me now.
Just means you have to work twice as hard to make sure you earned that scar. I'm almost certain that that's not going to be the last time we see those ugly faces.
So even if I can, get it gone, you think I'd be able to live that down? Have a fresh canvas to carve up later? Have pride in all of them? Or I'm just gonna have centuries-old scars all over my body. Ones that I don't even remember getting. Ones with stories I can't tell. So gotta tell you, I don't feel too goddamn glorious with this on my chest.
What happened last night, well, earlier tonight, that was only the beginning. The first of many a battle. First of many a scar. But next time, there are going to be scars that you remember getting.
Can I ask one last question? And just get a plain answer as you can give me? If I could get this... If I could ask Bill, son of Bear, to heal it. What would I... Would I be worthy enough to forget it? Or to earn another one? If I relinquish this one? If I just let go of my mistakes, am I worthy of winning any other battles?
Out of character, at this point it can't be healed, can it?
Oh. You saw Bill heal some pretty severe shit already. Honestly, maybe he can heal it.
Tara glances over at Bill for a second before looking back to Darren and saying, I don't know if he can heal it. If he can't, sometimes in our lives there are just mistakes we have to live with. And that's the burdens that we bear. If he can, I do think that you're worthy.
Darren had... well, his hands had stopped sewing as she was speaking, slowing down until they ceased. And the anger on his face has just kind of been misted over by something not even he can explain or describe. Just looking down at his hands. And after a few moments, maybe 7 at least, shifts his left shoulder, stretching out his pec, returning back, feeling it tug at his skin, at his muscle. Thanks.
She gives a nod.
I should almost be done with this.
Good, then we can have a proper feast.
You gonna turn back?
Once I get the clothes.
Yeah, if you keep those, I can, see what I can do later. Fit them better. He says, handing them to her, draping them over Lupus' form as she walks away.
Lovely. Tara would, step away for a moment, then change into Homid, putting the clothes on. Then she comes back, almost jumping into her seat. Have some food. What kind of drinks are that?
Cold spring water and honey mead.
Honey mead.
Yes.
I'm gonna go for honey mead.
Like you, Dave is drinking all that spring water, correct?
After taking another sip of the honey mead, which Bill had given him, he looks over. Sorry. Bill, son of Bear. You got this honey mead, right? Does that mean you have any, wax stored nearby?
I collect it when it's in season. Everything you see here is made by me.
If you've got any, clothes that need repairing, could I trade you for some, beeswax? Services for goods?
You don't like charity, do you?
I earn what I have.
You not. And when you come back by the fire, tell a good story and we'll call it even. I prefer company to services. Deprives me of earning my own way by keeping my own things.
Darren would give a warm but half smile and a nod. Thank you.
Once everyone kind of is at the table, Tara would kind of, grabbing her drink, stand up, raising it in the air, and just kind of addressing the pack, saying, I know things didn't go exactly how we planned it to, but we all pulled through. We stared death in the face and made it clear that now was not our time. Dave, you pulled off feats I didn't know you had it in you to pull off. Snarls, Gaia smiled on you today, and it looks like your prayers were answered. D-Prince, you stood by your pack mates selflessly and with no regard to your own safety. And Darren, you fought fearlessly and ferociously, the first to put yourself between your pack and the enemy. I'm proud to call you all my pack.
Darren would, take his cup, tap it on the table and raise it. Skull!
And then finally saying, and Bill, son of Bear, we are in your debt for coming to our aid and offering us shelter. We will never forget it. Takes a drink.
He holds up his pipe as a best toast he can give at the moment.
Dave
No.
would wrap an arm around Snarls and raise his drink.
Snarls biting at the cup to lift it. Would try to give a toast.
The cup wobbling in his mouth, a little bit of it running down the side, kind of painting his muzzle a bit wet.
Oh dear.
Dave, help him out.
Yeah, well, Dave would grab the bottom of the cup and help stabilize it.
Tara just kind
Will raise his cup. It's empty. Doesn't have anything in it, but he'll raise it,
Darren would grab some spring water for D and gesture for if D would like Darren to pour for him.
D kind of gives a nod, sticking the drink out.
He pours the water and then puts it down quickly and tops it up with a little bit more mead. Smile on his face.
D looks at him with a bit of a wry smile before raising it again and actually taking a drink this time.
Bill, son of bear, please, this can't be a feast without the host.
Oh, really? I suppose I should come over then. He taps his pipe a little bit on the corner of the fireplace and then brings himself up, coming over to the table, where he picks up one of the freshly baked pieces of bread, ripping a chunk of it off and just flat dabbing it in some of the fresh jam and taking a hearty bite. What is it that brings you all to these woods?
I look to Darren and then Tara.
We're earning our glory.
Well, first it started in New York, where we're from, starting our Rite of Passage, which brought us here. Until, and then he would...
Immediately, you hear and see as his fist collides with the table, rattling everything on it. What? The very beams of the cabin creak as though trying to either escape him or being drawn in as he seems suddenly very angry.
Can I read him?
You don't need to read.
Actually, you can roll intelligence and etiquette. Dave, as far as you're concerned, you're about to die.
Probably. I'm used to this. I knew I was going to die this.
Oh, God.
Already very confused and slightly worried.
We all dead.
And, shit, we're gonna fucking die. Meanwhile, Darren snarls. Oh, he seems to be worried that he has violated your right. And he immediately does begin to demand, why was this not told to me before?
Snarls would perk up, saying, well, we were abandoned and our right was ended. The pups, which were sent by the Wendigos, were murdered and we were abandoned.
We are forging our own right. You're part of our story, as a good part, the most welcome part. Thank you.
He pulls away from the table, his hand running down his face, setting down the piece of bread on the table where he cracked it a bit, and no doubt at that holding back. He shakes his head. When you leave, I will ask you to swear to speak to no others about my existence. He does hold up his hand, though. I apologize for my reaction. He stays away from the table, calming.
Snarls would look to Tara, kind of lowering his glasses with his paws so his eyes meet hers. Yeah, he's basically giving you a look of, you continue the story from here.
After Bill says his last, Darren stands up with a drink of mead and sets it in front of him. Thank you for your reaction. The firm look, eye contact.
He offers you a very tight-lipped smile. The room feels as though it almost lightens a bit again.
I look to Bill and say, the Black Spire apparently killed the pups in New York, the Wendigo pups. I'm afraid that was to drive a wedge between our two people.
Then that would explain the blizzard. It's no doubt that the Wendigos are anticipating an attack from your set.
Or they just wanted our deaths by association. Darren says as he walks back and reclaims his seat. They can still come out on top if their hands themselves aren't bloodied.
No. If the Wendigo were going to kill you, they would have done it. They would not violate the litany and perceive your elders as enemies, not you.
Darren gives a nod.
more important than this. Apparently, they're
He holds up his hand. Eat. Then join me by the fire. He picks up the piece of bread he initially took and moves back to his seat. You can see him rolling over in his mind, his thoughts.
Tara finishes her plate, finishes her drink, before sitting down by the fire.
Snarls joined them after finishing his drink and food as well.
D ate minimally, just a thing of bread, and I'll join them back where he was sitting exactly before on the couch.
Darren would wipe his face and hands and get up and join them, sitting next to D.
As the pack rejoins Bill by the fire, he pauses long enough to stand. Bending over, he grabs the iron poker and shuffles about a few extra bits of wood into the fire. When he seats himself again, he seems to be back to his normal self, his voice gruff but kind. So, I believe someone here is due to tell me a story. And you already volunteered. Isn't that right, Mr. Beeswax?
Darren grins. Yes, sir, I did. I believe... he looks to his pack. I was meant to tell you guys the story of Uli Brightjaws, right?
Tara crosses her arms as she sinks into the seat.
Dave sits back and smiles.
Let's hear it.
Bill, I don't suppose you've had any get of Fenris tell you this story, have you?
I don't get a lot of company, but I'm always eager to hear a new story.
Nylan, what's the likelihood I could tell this story as I've been told it? It's one of my favorites.
Tell me what you learn. You can tell it fairly accurately, but you might slip in some modern slang and rather than some of the older words used.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
However, I will provide a bit of ambiance for the story.
Long ago, there was a get of Fenris who called himself Weak. And his name was Uli Brightjaws. But it wasn't a name he'd earned from his packmates. He was called that by the elders after his first rite. Because after many battles during the rite, he returned with no scars to speak of. His jaws were bright and unblemished. Uli was a faithful fighter in the tribe and the sept. When battle came to his home, Uli stood beside his pack to crush the invaders. When the elders asked his pack to go hunt the bastards down, Uli was the fiercest among all his packmates. He fought hundreds of times, killed hundreds and hundreds of Jotun, Wyrm beasts. The blood from his foes fed the earth. But every time, since his rite, and every battle since, he maintained the name of Brightjaws, maintained a perfectly unmarred skin. His packmates laughed and said he was well named, and they praised his skill. But when he lay beside his wife at night, Brightjaws remained awake as she slept, and he stared upward into the dark, and he said to himself, at Darren looking up to the ceiling, leaning back on the sofa, "I am weak. That's what filled the days and nights of Brightjaws. When his pack gained glory from a kill, Uli went over the battle in his head and decided that every time his part in the battle was the smallest. He was almost worthless in the fights. When Uli's flesh was torn, he gritted his teeth in pain and thought to himself, surely his packmates felt their wounds less than he did. Every day he saw something that made him more convinced that his strength wasn't what it was supposed to be. And every night he lay awake, wondering how much longer it would be before his weakness was the death of his pack, of his sept. Finally, Uli resolved himself to do something about it. He went before his Jarl, his elders. And he said, Master, I'm not as strong as great Fenris demands of us. I feel in my heart that I will fail you when the need is greatest. And I cannot live with this knowledge. I beg of you to let me go into the Umbra, where I can confront myself and wrestle that weakness out of me. And the Jarl frowned at him. Go into the Umbra without your pack? This idea of your own making, Brightjaws? It is. With my pack, I can depend on their strength, and my weakness will hide from me. Without my pack, I'll become, well, my weakness will become stronger and braver. And then I can kill it. The Jarl growled and shifted on his seat, and he looked over at the Goldie, the Theurge. And the elder hummed to herself and rubbed the rune stones around her neck and said, so be it. And Uli was given 1 month, 1 turn of the moon, to return successful, strong, and glorious. So, Uli bowed his head and left. He returned home to his family and ate one final dinner with them, drank and played as if nothing were the matter, as if he wouldn't be leaving that next morning, or in the middle of the night. His children went to bed, happy, full, and feeling all the love of a father. But in the middle of the night, he was packing his things, and his wife found him. She said, "Husband, where is your pack? Why are they not meeting you here?" And Uli felt the pain in his heart, and Darren puts his hand to his chest, and subconsciously his fingers begin to brush lightly over his scar. I go without my pack. I go into the spirit world. Why? His wife asked in a whisper. You've never done this thing before, and your pack is strong and healthy. I'm sorry, love of my life, mother of my children, but I have to leave because I'm weak. Who said that? Spat his wife. Who dare lie in such a way? Husband, you should catch the man who slanders you and tear his skin from his body. It is no slander, Uli told his wife. It's no lie. The weakness is real, and I feel it clutching at my insides by day and by night. And Darren's fist closes just over his chest, pressing where his heart is, by the knuckles. I have to go into the spirit world where all things are made solid. And if I'm lucky, I'll find it there. And I can kill it. Then I'll come back home again. And be a husband that you can be proud of. Tears ran down his wife's face, and they melted the snow where they fell. She bit her lip until the blood ran, and didn't say anything else. Because the kin of the Fenrir, they do not question. So Uli kissed his wife, and let her hot tears remain on his cheeks while he kissed his children goodbye. Then he turned and walked down the road without looking back. Maybe Brightjaws knew exactly when he crossed over, when he stepped sideways. But maybe his thoughts were lost and he never saw the boundary. But under the light of the moonless sky, he leapt a stream and came down in the other world. He walked for a time in the spirit world, and then he stood on a hill and looked off into the soft reaches of forever. And he listened. And he heard nothing. I have a long way yet to go, said Uli Brightjaws. And he started down the hill. Uli walked for days, drinking from the pure streams of the Umbra. Because at that time, the streams weren't polluted like they are now. He hunted and fed from the spirit animals. He nourished his body, and the hunt nourished his mind. And from time to time, he'd stand under a tree or atop another hill, and he'd try to listen again. And still he'd hear nothing. A few days later, he came to a fork in the road. To the right, there was bright moonlight, which shone on every stone. To the left was darkness, gloom, and shadow. And Uli couldn't see the end of it. So he chose that path. And he knew immediately that he made the right choice. Because soon he was out of sight of the fork, and the dimness and the darkness completely surrounded him. And he said, "Now surely my weakness will find me on this road." And so he walked, and paused very rarely to listen. But, of course, one's inner flaws are not the only thing to wait for a traveler on such a road. As Uli walked further down the path, the more the green seemed to leave the trees and bushes that dotted the stones around him. Many of the things were dead, not from poison or lightning, but like their souls just left. Like they just decided to stop living. And that caught at Uli, and he felt doubt. For any get of Fenris, fear is losing the love of his life, and worse, dying uselessly. So Uli paused on his journey, and looked at one of the trees, and wondered if he would die like that. And as he did so, something came out of the darkness from under the roots and tried to fasten itself on Uli Brightjaws. It was a crawling thing, shivering and wet as if fresh from a polluted eggshell or a rotten stone. It was a spike grub that had yet to spin its cocoon and hatch again, stronger than before. It couldn't speak, but it could release a rattling shriek that was full of stolen grief and pain. Uli saw it and leapt back, and in that moment he knew what it was. He knew that it was a creature of the Wyrm. So Uli shifted to his Krynos, and he seized the thing in his claws and he tore it in two. His death streak was choked with pain and threaded with a faint skein of victory and release. So he dropped the thing, well, the two, and said, "This puny thing cannot have been my weakness. This was a parasite of the Wyrm. But even the lowliest, most petty of the Wyrm's servants can learn the virtues of traveling in packs." And they came from all around him, swarming him. They came seeking pain, misery, fear, hatred, all the things that they feed upon. And Uli, well, he was a Get of Fenris. And so he fought. But we are not just hot-headed warriors. We're fighters, and we know how to wage war and win. So Uli, rather than sentence himself to death with attacking wildly with his claws, he sought a tree and picked it from its roots and destroyed all of the things, the parasites, swinging meticulously, perfectly, with every fiber of his being. He was meant to fight. And when the creatures lay shriveled, he made sure they were fully done. And he rolled their bodies with the trunk of the tree and let what was left of them be pressed out from their forms. Like a rolling pin. Darren sneaks a glance at his pack and then continues looking off into the fire. After that, he walked about a hammer's throw and sat on a rock and rested. And as he rested in the quiet, he listened, and he heard something. He heard footsteps. It was maybe on two legs, but again maybe on four, and it was still a while away from him. So instead of waiting, he walked on. And the stones farther down the path grew rougher and sharper, and the trees and bushes weren't so plentiful. There were clouds in the sky, so the moonlight couldn't guide his way, couldn't pierce the darkness for him. But there was still light. But this light wasn't natural, it was gray. Like something had sucked out the color, leaving only the brightness behind, just enough for you to feel your despair around you. But Uli kept walking, and soon he found a tree. A huge tree, the size of ships. Its roots deep in the grey rock. But it was bent and hunched and had no leaves. He knew it was an oak, Because, well, in the old world, he knew his trees. He knew the tree was strong. But this path... Not much can still be strong on a path like that. Looking around on the branches, he saw 2 ravens standing side by side. The one on the left spoke, and his voice was like cracking icicles falling to stone. "Where are you going, Uli Brightjaws? You're far from home." "I'm looking for something," Uli replied. The raven on the right spoke, and its voice was like brittle leaves on a cold wind. "What are you seeking, Uli Brightjaws? Must have been something important." Uli didn't care for the tone of the ravens, but he remembered the old pacts between the Fenris and the Rafen. And more, he knew that if he didn't speak plainly with them, they'd worry about him. Worry at him. Wherever he went until they were finally satisfied that they knew his business. As that's what the ravens do, I guess. So he said, "I'm looking for my own weakness." And the ravens shared a cackle. "No wonder you walk away from your tribe then," said one on the left. "'Cause they walk away from their weakness and toward their strength." "Still," said the one on the right, "maybe you're doing the right thing. If you carried your weakness with you, and couldn't set it down in the realm of the flesh, maybe you can outrun it. Here." And Uli growled. "I'm not some jackal wolf that would run from my weakness. I'm here to kill it." And both the ravens laughed like cracking bones. "You think it'll be that easy?" cackled the raven on the left. "You're no stronger here than you were before. If you could defeat it with your strength," said the raven on the right, "you would have done that long ago." "You need another way to overcome yourself, Uli Brightjaws. You need wisdom. If you're willing, Brightjaws, we'll share our secrets with you." The ravens puffed out their coats and shifted from foot to foot on the branches. But Uli looked at them, and the blood of Fenris shone in his gaze. "Why do you wait for permission to advise me? Aren't you children of Rafen? You're free and generous with your secrets?" And the raven on the left muttered to itself, and the raven on the right stayed silent. Then they spoke, sharp and soft. "There are rules. There is a price." And Uli said nothing. "Hang yourself from the tree," said the raven on the left, his voice low and his eyes half-lidded. "Hang yourself here." "We'll sit above you and pull at your flesh," said the raven on the right, serpent-voiced. "And in return, we'll tell you many things. Things that'll make you wise, things that'll make you strong." And in their eyes, Uli saw a green light. In their eyes, they were as cold as the bottom of a forgotten pond in the winter. And Uli knew what he saw. His rage rose within him. "You are not ravens." "Of course we're ravens," said the one on the left. "We bring wisdom." "We have to be ravens," said the one on the right. "We learn secrets from dead men." "Wotan had creatures that he called ravens too," said Uli, and his voice was low and grim. Wotan was, you guys know Odin, right? That asshole one-eyed god.
Of course.
I know.
Darren nods.
Good. And Uli said, his voice low and grim, I know you. I don't think you do, said the one on the left, and his eyes glittered like emeralds caught in ice. Maybe instead of us, you know our forefathers' names, said the one on the right. We are their children. We are their heirs. And then both ravens leaned forward in the tree, their feathers bunching outwards, and they were near the size of a hispo wolf. You're abominations, growled Uli. You're betrayers and corpse splitters, carrion wings. You're the bastards cast out by Hrafen. You're the birds that pick at the serpent's hide. We are what we are, Uli Bright Jaws. We are your doom. They came at him, out of the tree, swift as arrows. Uli was in his Krynos form, as quick as an eye blink, but they sliced open his pelt with their wings, quicker than any mortal bird. And Uli couldn't snatch him with his teeth or talons. They were laughing and laughing as they dove on him, once, twice, 3 times. But then, he caught one around the neck, and beat him with his wings, more powerful than as if a massive horse kicked him. And his feathers sliced at his arm, and blood ran. But Uli didn't let go. He tried screaming, but Uli's fist strangled the cry in his throat. Then the second dove on him. And like it was lightning against a mountain. But like lightning against a mountain, may be loud and fast, but doesn't do anything to damage it. So Uli caught the shoulder, caught the raven after it cut his shoulder. It too beat him with his wings and cut him with his feathers, but Uli didn't let go. So he walked over to a stone that supported the tree, and he broke both their skulls open on it. And he hung their bodies on the tree, and, well, got away from that place. And even though he didn't see anything ahead or behind him, he heard the soft pad of feet following him. After that, there weren't that many trees, or none at all, actually. No bushes or spirits or anything with even a hint of being alive. Just rocks and streams, and the streams tasted wrong. He kept going, and the entire time he heard the thing behind him, and he fought the urge to turn back on it, because thought if he did, then it'd just flee, run away from him. So instead he kept going forwards, hoping that the thing behind him would grow bolder, reveal itself. Everything along the path had lost more and more color the farther Uli went. He was surprised, then, when he came to a pair of pillars that flanked the road, and saw that 2 black wolves with yellow eyes were sitting on the pillars, by them. The 2 wolves stood and regarded Uli. They didn't raise their hackles or crouch their bellies, just stood there. And Uli's first thought was to, be a good guest. Placate them and, well, be polite. But, he remembered those 2 fake ravens. And so he just stared at these wolves, giving no ground. The wolf said, "No man, nor woman, nor wolf, nor spirit walks this path unless they seek their own destruction." "Is that why you walk this path?" Nuli said, I seek my doom, yes, but I don't intend to surrender to it. I walk this path so that my doom can catch up to me, and then we can fight and see who's stronger. Brave words, said both wolves. Maybe this path isn't for you. Past this gatepost, nothing waits but destruction. But the path back to the Moonlands is not where you'll find your doom. What you seek lies along the third path to lead from this place. And Uli looked to the other side. Well, to either side. I see no third path. You would not, laughed the wolves, and there was the cry of the scavenger in their voices. But we have walked the path ourselves, and we could show you the way quite easily. We'd be honored to. Aren't you bound to watch this path and warn travelers? Asked Uli. The path will watch itself. We were waiting for you, said the wolves. And Uli looked at the two for a second time, and for a moment the sheen of their coats was almost the grey of the purest Fenrir blood. But then it was gone, devoured by the darkness of their pelts, and Uli knew them for what they were. There were gatekeepers who abandoned their posts before, growled Uli. There were Fenris wolves who fell. Sorry. Some caught. And Darren takes a sip of the mead from his cup. So the tall wolves shifted into the Krynos forms. You smell the blood of our family, Uli Brightjaws. You left our sisters' bones scattered across the road, and you hung our brothers' corpses from their own tree. We'll have payment for that. So Uli rose into his own warskin and snarled his challenge in reply. The two struck as one. Maybe they were truly brothers, or maybe they'd simply learned discipline, but they fought well together. When Uli lunged at one, it jumped beyond his reach while the other scored his back with its talons. Soon Uli's blood was running from many wounds, and the gatekeepers were laughing, but he knew he couldn't win the battle like this. So he leapt with all the strength he had, and he landed on the other side of the two. As he turned to chase him, Uli ran behind one of the pillars. One of the tainted wolves ran around the pillar to the left, and the other around the right. It's a corner, Uli. But that was their mistake. Uli didn't flee, but he lowered himself and charged directly at the wolf from around the right. By the time his brother had come round, it was too late. Uli had torn his throat out. The black wolf screamed as it saw Uli over the corpse of his brother, and it leapt at him with froth-lined jaws snapping. Now the fight was one maddened, tainted wolf against a get of Fenris. The gatekeeper marked Uli several times, but never down to the bone or vitals. And Darren's face breaks into a smile. And Uli took his lower jaw in one hand and upper jaw in the other, and he pulled. After all that was done, he set the skulls of each wolf on the pillar and limped down the path. And the thing that was following him padded even closer. Uli reached the end of the path before his wounds had healed. The mist and the shadow grew deeper, and finally, no moonlight was left. It wasn't entirely black, but that gloom was all around him. The rocks and stones Uli walked across no color. They were gray only because there was no other color to define them. The only thing that was and it wasn't the same dull shade, was the rift in the fabric on the ground. The spirit world itself, a chasm longer than the horizon and blacker than the spaces between the stars. Uli Brightjaws stood on the brink of the chasm that divides the spirit world, and he knew that he had reached the end of his journey. Because in the abyss, strength fails. In the abyss, weakness and despair grow and can consume even the bravest Ghural. Here, Uli Brightjaw's weakness would surely be at its most powerful. And if it could show himself, it would do it here. And Uli Brightjaws looked into the abyss and heard footfalls behind him. Now, a yard away, one arm stretched away. He heard the breath from an unseen snout, and knew it was his weakness come to catch him in his place. And even though it was the hardest thing he'd ever done, he straightened his back, and Darren does so, and turned to face it. But it wasn't his weakness that stood in his face. It was Great Fenris. And Darren's eyes shined in the firelight. In the Umbra, in any world, there's never been a wolf so massive, so strong and terrible as Great Fenris. When he... sorry. When he opens his jaws to devour his foes, a tall man could ride its tall horse into his throat and never have to bow his head. His eyes were yellow as newborn suns, his coat grey as despair, and as much stronger than iron as iron is stronger than glass. When he rakes the earth to mark his territory, his claws leave gouges as deep as a man's middle finger in the heart of stone. When Great Fenris howls his anger to the skies, the stars shake in the heavens and weep from fright. That's what he is. He is rage. He's the first wolf. And he's the one who catches comets in his teeth and gnaws them until he bleed. And now, he stood in front of Uli Brightjaws. And when he spoke, his voice was like ice, each word bitten off by a snap of his terrible jaws. Why are you here, Uli? Great Fenris, I'm here because I fear my weakness. I came through these realms in search of it, to let it dog my heels and then catch it and tear it apart, that I might be worthy of your favor once more. And the Great Fenris stood there unmoving, but thunder rolled in his throat. You know that I can see through false strength to the flaws beneath. I do, Great Fenris. Again, Fenris rumbled. Do you want me to show you where your weakness lives? And Uli trembled with dread, but the words he spoke came from his soul. I do, Great Fenris. And Great Fenris' eyes blazed, and his head struck forward, and Uli felt the pain of 1,000 wounds erupt in his chest. His ribs snapped like matchsticks, and blood flew from his chest to water the stones of the abyss. Great Fenris withdrew his muzzle, all slick with heart's blood, and spat something onto the ground. Though every muscle in his body begged him to fall and die, to end the pain, Uli stayed standing, and he looked at his own heart. There! There is your weakness. It lies in your heart, and it's a flaw I despise. Your weakness is doubt. A flaw so enfeebling, it drove you to question my judgment, to presume that I would call a weakling my child. The flaw in your spirit has brought shame upon your sept, upon your family, and upon me. Even in the dim light of the abyss, Great Fenris' teeth gleamed bright as bloody swords. What do you have to say for yourself, Uli Brightjaws? Even though his heart was on the ground and his chest was in ruins, Uli found words. I am ashamed, great Fenris. And Darren's eyes still fixed in the fire, his face drooping slightly, matching the tone almost perfectly. Each breath brought fresh pain, but he continued. I measured myself by my own fears, not by my pack, not by my tribe. I thought the worst of myself and those... Because I thought the worst of myself, I thought the worst of everyone who called me strong. I didn't have the pride that I should. I wasn't proud of being Fenrir. So great Fenris growled deep and low, and his eyes burned with fury. But he didn't bare his teeth. Take up your heart, Uli Brightjaws. Eat it. Know yourself. And he turned and he was gone, lost in the shadows of the abyss. His heart fading, his sight fading, Uli groped blindly on the ground in the warm wetness of his own blood. His fingers closed on his heart, still beating. He put it to his jaws, and the smell of his heart's blood made him both sick and ravenous. And he bit into his heart, and ate in 3 bites, and the strength was in him once more. Uli returned to his sept on the evening of the new moon, for he had left on the night of the new moon. And he bowed before his Jarl and told the story of his shame and his newfound pride. He apologized to his pack for his lack of faith, and they beat him soundly, and he came away from it laughing. And Darren grins at the story he's telling. He went home to his wife, and, well, nothing needs to be said between a husband and a wife. The scar on his chest from great Fenris never left him, and he would have been ashamed and dishonored to see it go. So Uli Scarheart lived well as a warrior for the rest of his days, and died as well as any Fenrir could ask. One of his children bred true, and was a fine skald and an honor to her people. He gestures with a hand to Tara. A galliard.
She smirks.
He grins, looks back to the rest of the pack and to Bill. When she walked among the Ghural of other tribes, she was proud to say that no werewolf ever chosen by great Fenris was ever weak, even if they were fool enough to think so once in a great while. And Darren, leaning back into the sofa, looks back towards his pack and to their gracious host. That's the story of Uli Brightjaws. And I guess I didn't tell it as well as a skald might, but it's my favorite story.
Bill adjusting in his seat as Darren takes a place by his pack. He seems to admire the young boy for a moment before clearing his voice. He tells a story in exchange. It is not as long as that of Uli Brightjaws, but that might be for how old it is. Much of it is lost in time. Composing himself for a moment, he rests his fingers interlaced over his chest before beginning. Many, many years ago, before the white man came to this part of the world, There was a great tribe of Windwalkers who dominated the land and ran it like an ice-ridden empire. The mightiest among these was a shaman called She Cries Ice, who fought a terrible spirit. Terrible, evil spirit. This evil spirit was called the Narthus, and could not be bound into anything of this world. But She Cries Ice whispered to the sky and called down a stone from another world. The great shaman bound the Narthus into the sky stone, and it struck the mountain with great force, thus burying Narthus completely. Legend says that the mountain lies but north of here, and that one day the Narthus will rise again to defeat the children of She Cries Ice.
I look in recognition to Tara.
Yeah, Tara's kind of like looking between everyone else in the pack. Like,
Darren just looks really appreciative of the cool story.
Holding up his hand, Bill motions for silence as he considers for a moment. And then reclines back into his seat, eyeing Darren for another instant before allowing you to continue. Effectively, what you do now is up to you. You can stay with Bill even until the blizzard ends. Not sure when that will be. Or you can head back out to the cold.
Looking towards Bill, Snarls would ask again. So would it be possible for you to teach me the healing gift?
He shakes his head. That is not my place. You will learn that in time.
Snarls would nod understandably.
out of character, around what time do we need to meet with the vampires?
Not too long from now.
Did anyone recognize that howl from the pack of wolves earlier?
Out of character, did we?
I mean, you heard it.
But as in, like, do we know if it's from the Black Spirals or just regular wolves? Or is it the vampire wolves?
Impossible to tell, but there are plenty of options.
Tara gives a shrug. She then looks to Bill and says, "We will need to be going soon. Will we see you again?"
He shakes his head. No. You will not.
Darren stands and walks over to him. Holds out his
So he
hand.
puts a hand on Darren's forearm.
I'm glad to have met you.
Come with me. Come with me.
Darren
He
nods.
stands, pulls you to follow, taking you into the study where he grabs a large old horn. Not just the horn of a beast, but the kind of horn you blow for battles. And he holds it out to you. I want you to take this with you. However, only blow it in a time of immense trouble. The horn is brittle and old. It may break next it sounds. I've tried to use it in the past year, but have been unable to make it work. I feel the power has gone out of it, or it's waning from it. He puts the horn in your hand, and notably against your chest where the scar is. I cannot use this horn, because I have no great need of it.
Darren, having looked from the horn and up into Bill's eyes, looks with meaning in his face. Thank you.
He puts a finger against that skull. Remember your story. And he pats the side of your head, comforting you. You should join your friend. Make sure to take some food before you go.
Darren can't help his face but break out into a smile. Thank you. And he kind of lifts the horn a bit. Thank you.
Bill lets you go. He doesn't say anything. He just motions you with a slight push to go rejoin your pack. He seems to stay in his office for a moment, thinking.
Darren rejoins the pack at the hearth. Holding the horn by his side, not intentionally drawing much attention to it. I take a shirt that I was probably given to wear, and fashion it into a carry sack for the horn.
So, I look to Darren. How'd it go?
Bill Son of Bear is a great host. He's letting us take some food with us for the road.
I look to where you came from and say, Just feel, I'm actually gonna miss the guy.
Don't miss him too bad. If he wanted to come with us, he would. Don't carry him in your heart.
Just Tara saying, all right, everyone, let's pack what we can and get moving.
Sounds like an idea.
He's going to gather a decent amount of food, eating a little bit as he's packing because he realizes he is hungry because he hasn't eaten in a long time.
D, sit down and eat. We'll pack around you.
Nah, it's all good.
No. I won't have you hungry on the walk. It's cold.
Nah, I got this. Don't you worry. I'm gonna be eating while I pack up. Quicker that way.
Is D near a bench or a seat? Well, near the bench by the food.
D is standing on the on the corner of the table as he's gathering some of the food up.
Darren would pull a chair behind him and just, pull his shoulder down so he sits into it. Eat. And he begins. Then he begins packing food around him. Who's keeping the disc on them?
I have it.
Cool.
You know, I've been thinking. Sometimes.
Yeah.
You remember how we encountered, or at least Snarls, noticed that there were Wendigo in the town? Perhaps that'd be the best place to deliver the disc to them.
Tara shakes her head. It would be dangerous. Last the others saw, we were driving that truck towards the town. And as far as the Wendigos are concerned, they wouldn't like us being that near to their kin.
At the same time, though, we can go to the cairn. What else could we do?
Darren hefts the hilt of the clave that he ripped off.
He's gonna stop eating for a second. I want to get to the town. I saw my stepdad, which means if he here, then my family might be close.
You saw your dad?
Stepdad. It ain't like that. I'm not too concerned about him, but he was working for the Wyrm. The mine. He don't usually do that shit, which means he probably got a pretty good deal. She got me bugging, man. Because if he's here, then that means my family probably close by. And if they close by, then they in danger.
Wait, does your dad know about the stepdad know about all that?
No, not that I'm aware.
Then it could just be another
But I need to
job.
get my family out.
Agreed.
No, you know what? Now that I'm thinking, if he probably up here, they'd probably be in Toronto. Oh nah.
What's wrong with Toronto? Besides it, being Toronto.
I get bad vibes from that place, man. Something ain't right about it. And all over the states. I've been to Detroit. Seen Toronto just across the way. There's something messed up with it. There's something messed up with Detroit. There's something messed up with it all.
Yeah, it might just be your blood.
I look to D and mutter. It's probably all the bloods. It's probably all the leeches there.
Of course, they're fucking leeches there.
There are leeches in almost every city.
Do you know how many?
I give a shrug and say, no, all we know is their territory. Or rough outlines. They've been around longer than, as long as humans have.
D, I'm sorry, but, with the cities come glasswalkers and the bone gnawers. So I think we can go there last and go home after.
We gotta get my stepdad out. He's one of the only people that can make money for the group. My siblings are too young for that shit.
They'll be coming back home anyway, right? After the day's work.
I don't know, man. You saw what they was doing over there. He was worked to the bone, man.
Yeah.
It ain't right. They probably gonna kill him if we don't get in there soon. Wish I did something, but I was focusing on the mission.
As you should have. I get it, but... Maybe we can convince the Wendigo to help us. Convince them, well, have them see the truth. With this, Darren hefts the hilt of the clave. They can sense the Wyrm on this, they have to.
We can't go anywhere near the Wendigo, or their care, nor their kin. And I don't know if your dad will be going home after the day's work, after all the carnage that we created back at the mine.
No, I saw them walking him off to the mine. He might be okay. Which means there might be still a chance. I'll be damned if my family don't get a chance.
Darren looks and gives a knowing nod.
Tara crosses her arms, almost looking down as she says, "There's almost nothing as important as family."
There is nothing as important as family.
I look to Darren and I say, the sect. That's more important.
The sept is your family.
Yeah, some of us still have family outside it.
Darren just sighs through his nose and keeps packing up stuff. Mostly food.
There's gotta be a way we can get the info to them. There's gotta be.
We can leave a care package, leave a bag, and call them, and leave the area. I mean...
You think we might be able to ask a spirit to get a message to them?
Might
Snarls?
Be a shot.
Snarls, what do you think?
It's certainly an option. Don't know what else we can really do other than that. Snarls would continue saying, however, though, if we are going to do that, we need to be careful what spirit we get as our messenger. Some like to play tricks on you, mess with you. So we need to be very selective.
I look to him and say, what about that tree, you know? Surely the forests have a close relationship with the Wendigo.
I mean, it's possible, but trees don't really... Trees like to just protect their area, teach people who will help protect it too, but other than that, I think we need to find some spirit connected to them. Some spirit that would want to help them as well as help us. I'm not sure if a tree would be the right one.
Before we were thinking about maybe going to help the pups that died in the cave. But things are going to be a lot more dangerous now with what's hunting us, with the stunt that we pulled at the mine. It's going to be a lot more difficult to find a place to sleep and rest and then move about in the day.
What if we find those wolves? If they are just wolves.
Wait, not a character. Which ones are you referring to?
The ones we heard howl.
First, we need to go meet with
Them.
that other pack, like we said we would.
Yeah. We stopping by our shelter first, or going straight to them?
Tara kind of, she looks like she's about to speak, but then she pauses and kind of scratches her head and then says, we might want to ask Bill where we are.
Go on, Miss Galliard.
I go off to try and find him.
You find him in the doorway,
Oh, fuck.
giving you your privacy.
Sorry, what was that? I dropped my phone.
He was in the doorway, just kind of giving you your privacy.
Cool.
But the moment he heard his name, naturally he paid a bit more attention. And is now just in the doorway, letting you say whatever it is you need to say.
Yeah, she just kind of goes up towards him saying, hey, you mind telling us where we are?
General grid location.
You're about 2.5 miles northwest of the Winter Wolf set.
Northwest?
He nods.
Darren looks to Snarls.
She looks back towards the pack and says, there won't be time to go back to our shelter. It's far too out of the way.
Yeah, there goes my clothes.
Good thing you got new ones.
Yep. Oh, that poor deer. I mean, that poor moose. I look to Snarls and say, so, how do you feel about interviewing some spirit?
Did you just say interviewing spirit?
You know what I mean. You need to find one that's going to be receptive to helping us and the Wendigo.
Bill puts his hand out to rest on Tara's shoulder. If there's somewhere you need to go, I can give you directions. I'm well acquainted with these woods.
Is there anything that you know about the Wendigo pups that died west of here in a cave?
His eyes fall. It's not hard to see why it is. He's a bit bummed out about it, but he does say that Wendigo rites are harsh and held in dead of winter. They are pups that died during their rites. And Wendigo has not come to claim their spirits. Many pups have undergone their rites of passage in this wilderness.
She kind of lowers her head.
I look to Bill and ask, do you particularly know any spirits that are friendly towards the Wendigo?
Wendigo. But other than that, it would come down to each pack.
With these tormented Wendigo pups at the cave, is there any way that we can help them become released again?
The spirits of these Wendigo pups are bitter, hateful, vengeful. They might attack any Ghural or journey through the woods. They will do so slowly, causing fear, doubt, whispering winds, strange scents, even stealing, moving those things to other peoples. They will pick on the Metis and the Ragabash. The only way to banish them would be either to defeat them in the Umbra, or alternatively, perhaps a theurge may convince them that one of their own tribal theurges could aid them in their final journeys.
Tar looks to the others and says, "We will go out. We'll go to the meeting like we said we would. But what we need to do, the most pressing thing, is either deal with or evade as best we can what is hunting us."
I know what I'd rather do.
She smiles in agreement. But that's only a decision that we can make properly once we know exactly what all of the things at play are. So I say we go out and find out.
I would like to put it on record that I think this is a bad idea.
Care to say why?
If we find out what is chasing us and something we can't handle, it might be too late to run.
Run?
I look to Darren and I say, or fight it if there's no glory in dying and then letting the Sept, the Wendigos, get killed along with us. Or shortly along with us.
Then we make peace with them first. Put their pups at ease. Or souls, at least. Make things right between our Septs first.
Things will only be made right between our septs once we get them that disc.
So that's our priority.
Yeah. We need to tell them the truth of what happened.
And I think we have enough to do that. We just need to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like just standing around talking about it.
No. Everyone packed? D, have you eaten?
Yeah.
Darren notes.
Let's go.
The
Back up.
spouse.
She takes one look to Belle, gives a nod of the head, and says thank you.
As everyone's making ready, Darren walks over to Bill. Thank you for hosting us. And, that wax? He says with a wry grin.
You see him produce it from underneath his arm where he was holding a small bit of wax tucked away, wrapped in a strip of old hide.
Darren grins. Thank you. We'll be off then.
Farewell, pups. And remember, you never met the son of the devil.
Darren gives a solemn nod. And turns and ushers everyone out.
No sooner do you leave the cabin of Bill, son of the bear, and begin to trudge in the direction... Well, you hope you're going the right way. You have a vague idea of where you're going, knowing that you need to go about a mile east. If you were to turn back, looking for any sign of the cabin, it is gone, lost. Not just due to the blizzard, but it's as though it never existed. A mirage within the snow. And so you are forced to trudge on. Those of you in bipedal forms are going to hate this, which is pretty much all of you. Lupin is the only one that's moving somewhat easily and not freezing his tail off.
You see
Time
Dave.
to go to Lupus.
You see Dave taking off his clothes.
Dee's gonna, take off his clothes, shift into Hispo, and then carry them on his back.
As we are changing, Tara will say to Snarls, every so often, see if you can sense any creatures of the Wyrm. I want to know if any of the Banes are following us.
Snarls would first peer into the umbra to see if there are any spirits following them.
Go ahead and roll your gnosis. Peering into the umbra, you do catch the scent of a spirit, though it is not following you. Rather, in the distance, you see the form of a large bear spirit watching.
Returning to his senses, Snarls would try and sense if there's any worm, and also just sniff to see if he can catch the scent of anything that's not the pack.
For the moment, you are safe and alone. The umbra around you is filled with only the spirits of nature. Many of the animal spirits venturing away, no doubt due to the blizzard, and the spirits that have been called upon to produce said blizzard.
Snarls would repeat the same kind of sensing back in the physical.
Tara starts moving in the direction of where they said they were going to meet. On the way, she also keeps an eye out for a place in which they might be able to afterwards make a shelter for the night. Because probably best that she sleep tonight.
Darren in his Hispo form has the bag carrying, well, the stuff he packed, the beeswax inside the horn he was given, and whatever food he took with him, just holding it, having it in his closed mouth, which is definitely going to be big enough. Which I hope is big enough, right? Cool. I'm just going to carry it in my mouth.
You just see Dave running beside you guys, or walking beside you guys, carrying his rifle in his mouth. Or maybe grabbing it by the strap and dragging it.
Yeah. Snarls, growlings, living up to his name, snarling, backs away from Dee as they travel, and before long, starts running ahead, blindly through the snow, trying to get away from that.
God damn it,
follows
Tara runs
right next to him.
up with him.
Darren immediately, as Snarl begins moving, yelping loudly, that almost coyote-ish quick series of yips, bolts after Snarls, easily keeping pace with him, his massive frame flying through the snow, leaving barely an impression behind. As Snarls run, tail between his legs away from the rifle.
Dave looks just confused.
Could I have caught up with him very easily.
Does nobody understand English?
No, but like, okay, let me be exactly what I mean. Could I have knocked him over as I've been running next to him?
Probably.
I'ma do that and just like pin him to the snow.
Strength and brawl. The scene the pack eventually comes upon, considering they are all human, looks like when you saw two dogs play fighting that looked a little too close to really fighting. Snarls, belly up, paws batting at Darren with his hackles raised, biting and yelping, while Darren holds him down with a heavy paw and admittedly puts his teeth around Snarls' throat, having dropped the rest on the snow beside them, trying to keep him from moving.
If Snarls starts to calm down, Darren will release him and just nuzzle, like, essentially booping his massive snout against where Snarls' heart is, and just look into his eyes until he's finally calm, harkening back to Great Fenris and Uli.
Snarls, your willpower. The rest of you are kind of forced to wait and watch as the eventual biting and yelping of Snarls turns into a low growl, hackles raised, the pawing, kicking stops as his upper paws are just pushing at Darren's chest. And eventually he begins to lower his hackles and just kind of wait there in the snow. The wind and constant fall of snow eventually making him sneeze as some of it goes into his nose. And he begins to relax a bit as all the world, if nothing else, makes sense.
Snarls, semi-angrily looking to Dave, would say, I've made it clear many times I don't like guns. Keep it out of my sight.
I look confusedly and nod.
Meanwhile, the pack just barks at each other because nobody has partially transformed.
And I'll roll to...
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the roll?
Dex and Primal Urge.
Partial as well.
Not gonna bother rolling, because my mouth is gonna be full the whole time, so I'm good.
Darren, get Snarls out of your mouth. You don't know where he's been.
Should I also roll for Sense Swam again, if I can sense anything?
You may. No stench of the worm taints the airs around you, yet you are getting closer to the presence of one. You are getting closer to a very faint presence of worm taints not far ahead, the way you are supposed to go.
Snarls, looking to the rest of the group, would say, I think I can sense that we're getting closer to the stuffed nose leech. The one we're meant to find.
When we do get there... Snarls, I think you should keep a lookout in the Umbra just in case any of those Banes do come looking for us. We should know. D-Prince, she looks over to him. You're going to be with me when I go speak to them. If they lie about anything, let me know. Darren and Dave, I think you two should be patrolling the area, looking out if those leeches do really mean us harm, or for whatever Snarls got the senses hunting us.
Darren shakes his tail in agreement.
Snarls would ask, should I only peer into the Umbra or actually enter it?
Peer into it. If you enter it, you have no way of communicating with us.
The only thing I'm thinking is it'll be hard to truly distinguish any features if anything does approach.
If you think you need to, go into the Umbra.
I'll let you know. I'll either go. That's when you'll know.
If we have to communicate with each other, use the Ghural tongue.
He'd nod.
And we also need to find a place to keep our stuff.
Tree in a bush, always a good spot.
Alright. She then looks to Darren and Snarls, who kind of looked like they were fighting before, and just says, are we all good to go? Continue.
Darren wags his tail again.
Tara moves forward.
Darren follows. Walking his boat by her side.
As they move, she's consistently looking out for their surroundings. Keeping a key eye on everything.
Darren as well.
At the tree's edge, you begin to see the opening of the clearing in which you are to meet. Through the blizzard, it is difficult for much of the moonlight to penetrate through. It's hard to see entirely what's ahead of you. You are forced to push into the clearing before you see, maybe within 11 to 9 feet before you, figure of a woman waiting in the dark, her eyes gleaming red.
We would have had time to stash our stuff in between a tree and a bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wunderbar.
I mean, in a blizzard, it's going to be hidden pretty quickly, one way or another.
Guess I should go on patrol then.
Yeah, as I said, patrol with Darren.
When approaching her, would, well, using sense one, it be clear that she's the only one tainted being nearby?
Go ahead and roll again. Oh, she certainly does carry the stench of Wyrm. Yet, there are a couple others not far, maybe within the trees, of her kin. No doubt, that also carry it. She's not alone.
In the Ghural high tongue, Snarls would tell information.
Darren would whistle in reply. And begin his patrol, still keeping his things in his maw. He's not letting go of that horn. Especially not around leeches.
Tara moves forward along with, I assume, Dee and Snarls, changing into her Krynos form as she nears them.
D is going to do the same, though he's going to be emerging from the trees in Krynos.
Snarls would enter Hispo.
Stamina primal urge for Tara Snarls. As the two Krynos and the large Hispo begin to approach the leech out of the fog of the blizzard, soon becoming 3 Krynos Ghural. The leech doesn't seem to recoil or move. Instead, the red eyes fix on the 3 of you. And despite the condition, despite the faintness of the moon's light, you can briefly see the glimmer of her teeth as she smiles. Her fangs showing. Once you are close enough, she bows her head. Good evening. It is good to see you, young lupines. I was beginning to wonder if you would come.
Tara bows her head in return in the same fashion before saying, I hope you have come here to honor our agreement. Gabriel is here.
I have no intention of treachery, lest treachery be given.
Detecting that, is she lying?
No, she's not.
I'll give Tara a slight nod.
Snarls would also give a similar bow as Gabrielle did.
She gives a nod to Dee before looking back to the vampire. How has your journey west been?
Very fruitful. We have seen what it is that hunts you. And we also marked the trees so you would know where to avoid. That won't stop them for long, however.
Has she seen what spotted us?
She has, that's not a lie.
I'll give Tara another nod.
And what might it be?
Other lupines. Though they look different.
Could you describe them?
They carry the appearance of strong timber wolves, varying shades of gray. Very common among North America.
Is she lying?
No.
Those fucking Wendigo. I'll give a nod to Tara again.
The vampire's eyes seem to linger on Dee, studying.
Dee's going to stare right back at her.
Tara crosses her arms hearing that. How many?
That's 5. And yes, she's telling the truth, Dee.
To the bar.
Tara speaks in the Ghural tongue to Dee, only saying, only give a signal if she lies.
He'll nod back.
Out of character, the Wendigos, that would be going against the litany, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. That is most certainly against the litany, though it does sound like it's only one pack.
Is there anything else of note about them that you managed to pick up on?
Sadly not. My apologies, we were not inclined to get close. I will say one thing I did note. They have a lot of very shiny earrings on. You might be able to hear it if you pay attention.
Thank you. We'll not forget your aid.
And we will not forget giving. However, if you wish, we might be of further aid should these lupines be of threat to you.
Could I read her when she says that?
Perception, empathy. You get the impression she's just offering her services. Seems legitimate,
Tar just says, "This is a matter we will deal with ourselves."
As you wish. Where might we find you after? When we come to call on the favor owed.
If you're ever around New York, there's a bar off of Central Park. I give her the name of it. If you ask about me, I'll hear about it.
Then I suppose farewell.
She gives a nod and says, "Safe trip to Alberta," then turns to leave.
The vampire stands where she is, becoming more difficult to truly see the outline of without moving. For those of you who watch, she seems to almost become a part of the blizzard, blending in with the torrent winds until she is there no more.
Would I still be able to sense them?
Yes.
Do
Though,
they stay leaving?
for a while, for a few minutes, they stay in the same place, but then they begin to move, fade away further away.
Tar, returning to where Darren and Dave were approaching, asks, "Have you seen anything?"
Darren shakes his head.
As she goes to get their stuff, she explains, "What's hunting us is a Wendigo pack. Apparently they've seen fit to go against what the elders said. They're breaking the litany and trying to hunt us down. I think if we can set up an ambush for them, if we can take them down ourselves, maybe they might be able to carry a message back for us to the cairn. If nothing else, we'd at least gain some glory with the Wendigos."
Darren growls low at the rogue pack, the mention of the rogue pack.
Snarls would look to whoever's closest to him and say, "I'm going to head to the Umbra, are you joining me?"
Did you see anything in the Umbra?
I think we should get the spirit to look over them, see what they can find out. What rank, etc. So we know at least how powerful they are and what exactly we're dealing with.
As far as I know, they have 5 members, all of which apparently wear particularly shiny earrings.
Yeah, Snarls would not saying, "Yeah, I got that," but it would be good to know a little more.
Just for the sake of Darren and Dave. But if you can convince a spirit, they might listen, they might inform the Wendigos. That I don't think.
I'll nod and say, perhaps either way we are going to run into them. They already know what we are. Know we're pups. We don't know enough though.
We could move further west for tonight, make a shelter. Then tomorrow, set up an ambush for them.
Snarls would look to you again and say, are you coming to the Umbra with me or not?
Alright.
Snarls would wait for Tara to look into his mirror shades before entering the Umbra.
Hey, Dave and Darren, we could probably go over to we could probably go try and set up a place.
Yeah, let's give it a try.
I'm going to paw at, knock Snarls with the paw lightly, and gesture with my head towards the trees where we're going to go. Where I decide we're going.
Well, Darren manages effectively to give Snarls directions before both he and Tara step sideways within the Umbra.
Darren walks the other two to where they're going to make camp. Yeah.
Anyway, the three of you intelligent survival. It's a good shelter. It's not going to be something that you could come back to repeatedly. It's get some good sleep in it, and probably have to rebuild it each time someone leaves. Mind you, there's also no way you could keep fire inside of this fucking thing.
Oh.
This is why you just wait for Snarls.
Anyway, Snarls, what is it you're doing in the Umbra?
So, my question is, that Stormcrow, is it still in my line of sight?
Yes and no.
Could I find it?
Now you're going to be tracking.
Yes.
So, if you're going to be tracking it within the Umbra, well, how are you tracking?
When I peered into the Umbra before and I saw it, did I catch a scent? Or no?
No. You can't, really. It's a little difficult to do that, considering the circumstances. As you manage to very quickly spy and come across the faint traces of the Stormcrow, following the subtle sound of its wings, and more importantly, for how you are tracking it, where the branches and trees shake ever so slightly from its passing. And your presence in the Umbra brings its attention rapidly as you see it before long perched on the branch of a large tree, the Stormcrow looking down at you with harsh gray eyes and a massive wingspan larger than any eagle.
Snarls would immediately give a bow, still in his bow, placing his two front legs forward as he lowers himself, his chest touching the snow which is on the ground. He'd call out to the spirit, saying, "Spirit of the Stormcrow, that associated with the great spirit of the Grandfather Thunder. There's a pack of Wendigos stalking us, following us, hunting us, unrightfully, going against the litany. Could we request your help to understand better to what extent their power is before they come and catch us?"
The Stormcrow's head leans downward, its shadow cast over you as its feathers bunch making it into a great looming shadow. Far greater than yours.
If that's the case, they would have the wisdom not to go against the litany.
The eyes flicker to you, its head cocking to the side.
She stares at it.
What knowledge of this Wendigo pack can you impart on?
That they seek glory, and that they will be the vanguard. And
Does
that
he-
its leader, its alpha, will be executioner of the sept.
Yet they are unable to find out the truth of what happened to their pup.
You can hear the creak of the branch beneath it as it squats down a little more.
Out of character. Can I tell what this spirit is getting at?
Intelligence primal urge.
Tara says to Snarls, let's go. Get back to the pack. And then turns.
Snarls would. The Stormcrow still there, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Does it seem like it's going to talk anytime soon?
No, not
Snarls, let's go.
Snarls would turn. Unlike most of the times, he doesn't bow to the crow and follows Tara.
You can hear behind you the Stormcrow leap off from the branch, cracking it with the weight under its claws and a clap of thunder from its wings as it flies off.
When they go back to the physical world, I want to ask Snarls if he knows how to make a false trail. Make it seem as though we're going off in one direction, kind of circle back and go to where the others said they were going.
The blizzard is still going on, correct?
Yep. As both of you return to the physical world, snow gathering on your fur, this time physical rather than that of the Umbra, color comes back into full swing in an instant as you find yourself stood among the trees of Canada.
Snarls would see if he can catch the scent of anything that's not him or Tara.
So, do you think you can make or do you know how to make a false trail? Make it seem as though we're going one way?
I can say for sure we don't have to worry about footprints, but our scent is certainly something that the Wendigos could catch on. Especially me. He would slightly chuckle. We could... perhaps make a small fire off the side. Maybe distract them that way.
Maybe a particular path having, I don't know, broken like branches or flattened bushes as though we've trotted through that area. We don't want these guys to sneak up on us in our sleep.
Nalin, is there any other idea? Somewhere south, Snarls would look for a good, like, I don't know, lightly packed place with like packed trees and lots of bushes. To find like a good, I don't know, good place to make it seem they went off. After doing so, she would. Is it possible to make a fire?
Take some time, but yeah.
Snarls would ask Tara to, as quickly as possible, collect some branches and, twigs, all of that. What would I need to actually light it?
Tara will shift into Lupus to make it a bit easier to get around.
Snarls would also return to us from his bow.
Anyway, so we're just going to quickly try and make a relatively believable trail and camp, and then go off and join the others to kind of divert the attention of the Wendigo pack that's hunting us.
When you do get back, the pack has made a near permanent shelter. Again, not quite fit for having a fire inside, and it'll probably only last for a day or two. But that's more or less all you really need. You can get some good sleep there.
Okay.
But adjustments make it better.
Tara, after having created the kind of fake trail, she would have gone into Lupus to make it easier to move around. So before going into the shelter that the others have made, I just want to do a quick circle around the place. Make sure it's all safe. Make sure there's no one nearby that could be dangerous, and then go back in. Well, go in.
Snarls would peer into the world, see if there are any spirits following, and also use sense moon.
You're safe. If anything, the only thing Snarls see is a messenger spirit rushing towards you, and it brings you word of what is happening in the second breed.